The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness, for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Pastor Errol Williams here. So excited once again to have the honored privilege and opportunity to share with you the living word of God. It's men's focus tonight. And I'm alone at the moment. I do not have Brother Rob or Brother Errol with me. Both are traveling back. Hopefully we'll be in time back to join me a little later if possible. So I'm watching out for them. As soon as they enter onto the set, then we could join in together. But welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's such an honor and a privilege once again to be back with you on a Friday night. Fridays are so disruptive now that we are back in our buildings and back to normality to some degree. So Friday nights is greatly disrupted because of so many different things going on. We had a conference, I think, recently, and I was away from that. So I'm here tonight, and hopefully the others will join me a little later. I hope everyone is well and that you are enjoying this amazing weather. Wow, today was so amazing. And I'm inside. I don't think I enjoyed it outside as yet, so I need to probably go and take a walk. Maybe I'll plan to do that tomorrow. But it's men's focus tonight, so if you have any questions relating to men, please put those in the chat room. We'd be delighted to hear from you. Any question whatsoever. As you probably have heard, our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has resigned and no longer will be our Prime Minister. And I don't think that's a surprise to anyone, really, I suppose. I guess maybe many would have been saying it's a bit too late, but I guess here's where we are. I guess never, late than sorry, they would often say. But we give God thanks for for his greatness among us. And the Conservative Party are obviously planning now to have a replacement leader, and they won't have the opportunity to choose me, so I won't be running for Prime Minister this time around. Hopefully maybe another time. But great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, if you have any questions or any comments, please put those in the chat room for me, and I'll pick those up as we go along. So I'm going to get started nonetheless, and with prayer, and then we see if the others will be able to join me. That's Brother Errol and Brother Rob. Brother Errol, I think he was traveling back from, I don't know, is it Switzerland? Something like that. So he said he would try his best to join us if he can. And Brother Rob is traveling as well, so he will join us if he can a little later. But I'm on my own. Oh no. I'm on my own for the time being. So if you have any questions or any comment, please go ahead and put those in the chat room for me. Really would appreciate that as well. If you have any questions, as you know, we love your questions, by the way. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and put those in the chat room for us. And I'll get to the chat room in just a moment. But let's pray first. Father, what a joy to be alive and to have the access to your word that we so need, and your spirit dwelling in us guiding, directing, and showing us and illuminating your beautiful words to us. Thank you so much for all you've done and are doing. And as we meet together in this beautiful cyberspace, I pray that your presence will emanate among us and lead us, guide us, direct us. Be with Rob and Errol wherever they are, and if they're able to join us tonight, we will be grateful for that. And thank you for everyone who's at the moment joining me live here on this beautiful, sunny, wonderful Friday evening. We do appreciate you, Father. Love you lots, and you're so amazing. Have your way with us tonight. We always seek to glorify you. You are the center of our being, the center of our life, and certainly the center of our focus and discussion tonight. In Jesus' name, I thank you and the power of your Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, then let me just head over to the chat room then, and we go from there. All right, blessings to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Brother Thomas, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do appreciate you, sir, and thank you so much. So please feel welcomed among us. And if you have any questions or comments, you got the floor as well. If you need to speak on the microphone, please indicate. Clive, Brother Clive, greetings to you. Yes, I'm waiting for Brother Rob and Brother Errol. I feel kind of lonely a little bit, so I'm hoping that at least one of them will join me and take the weight off me and share it out. Yes, as the Prime Minister, is it okay how Boris Johnson has been treated? By the way, how is MPs mutinied? I think I understand that. As the Prime Minister, is it okay how Boris Johnson has been treated? By the way, how his MPs... okay, I think I understand the word. All right, well, I'll look at that in a moment. Greetings, Pastor Errol, Pastor Rob, Mr. Earl, in Jesus' name. Our soon coming King. Yes. Thank you, Sister Thelma. Blessed, wonderful greetings from you. And thank you so much, Sister Alethea Clark. Thank you so much. I heard your prayer. I think it was this morning. I can't remember if was it this morning. I heard you prayed. Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your prayers as well. I can't even remember if it was this morning. Oh, I think the sun is too hot. Bless you. Right, let's address that question, because actually tonight, before I go into that as well, just to bring some important announcements. Well, we are promoting our mission school at TSM, and we really want mission to be on the agenda, especially for men. We want men to take the lead and to be a part of mission. And there's some amazing things happening actually in the mission field as well. Some amazing things that are taking place. But if you like to be involved or find out more about mission, go to our corporate website, contact the principal, Brother Trotman, and you can get a lot more information on that. We're also promoting worship as well. Wow, worship. Pastor Carol is doing an amazing job in this department. Absolutely outstanding. And that is Pastor Rob's wife. She's amazing, actually. The work that she's undertaken, just truly amazing. And so she has this retreat. Very, very brave to put on a retreat at this time, because a lot of people are not responding. But the good news is people are booking up. So if you're interested, do it early. Do it early. We also have exciting news from the Small Heath Church. That's the church where Pastor Rob used to attend before he went on to pastoral work. in Nottingham. And that church is just doing some amazing stuff, actually, truly amazing. From the children to the young people to the middle-aged, the seniors, absolutely outstanding. I must say, if I was in the Birmingham area, I'd be thinking of going to Small Heath Church. I really would be thinking about that. Absolutely fantastic. So if you're in the Birmingham area, the 16th and the 30th of July, wow, you should attend that. Well, one of our major core values, and in actual fact, it has been said it is the core value of the Church of God of Prophecy is prayer. And so we got this 24-hour prayer watch coming up 15th to the 16th of July. So take advantage of that. And it's 24 hours, right? On that Zoom number. So you can join at any time you want. You wake up in the middle of the night and you don't know what to do. Join prayer, even if it's just for a few moments. And I'm excited to announce as well this Sunday evening, we have our Region 4 focus. Every region is given the opportunity to share what's happening in their region, what they're doing. And I'm looking forward actually to Region 4 because they are doing some amazing work. That's the region in which Small Heath is in. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's going to be this Sunday evening. So I'm not going to miss that at all. So join us for that if you're able to do so. That would be absolutely fantastic. All right then, let me get to that question, because that is really one of the points we wanted to discuss tonight around the area of Boris Johnson and leadership. So leadership is one of the focus that we wanted to talk about tonight, and I wanted to share some thoughts. If my colleague Brother Rob and Errol doesn't join me, then I'll just carry on with sharing some amazing tips, I think, which would be useful as leaders. So I'll share that in a moment. Right, so let me then look at that question. Yes, and thank you, Brother Clive, for that. How is the MPs treating him? And you're welcome, Sister Alethea. And welcome, Mother Catherine. That's your name, Mother Catherine Moraine. That's your name. And you're one of our mothers, and we just love and appreciate you so much. And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm waiting on Brother Rob and Brother Errol. I'm just waiting. I'm looking on the set, so I'm hoping one of them would join me in a moment. If they don't, then we will just carry on. Right. Let's just look at what's happening with our good friend Boris for a moment. I can only go by what I've seen in the news. I'm not walking with Boris Johnson on a day-by-day basis. However, there are things that I have seen and I've heard from him, unless somehow the media is not relaying the information properly. But it appears to me that Boris has made a few mistakes in the office as our Prime Minister. I like the guy. I really do. I think he's a nice guy. We all have our faults. We are all human, and we all have our faults, and we all make mistakes from time to time. And when you're in the position of the Prime Minister, if you've got to understand what the word Prime Minister means, you're the number one servant. The word prime means number one. Minister, servant. You're the number one servant. So he is the head of the leadership of the United Kingdom. He's representing the royal family, the Queen. He's representing Parliament, House of Lords. He's representing all the people of the land. And if you blatantly lie, which is what he was accused of, and so on, where if you blatantly lie, hey, I think I got Brother Rob with me, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm so excited. I'm not alone. I feel much better now. So let me try and bring Brother Rob into the picture and get myself out of the way. Brother Rob, you are in the house. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, not too bad. Just landed. Greetings, everyone.
Blessings
Yes.
to you. I'm so excited that you're here because a question was asked about Boris Johnson. But anyway, how are you, sir? And how has your week been? And how is your amazing wife and children?
Yes, so everything is good. Praise God, praise God, praise God. It's just been a busy, busy time. I think the last time I was on this platform on a Friday was maybe April. I'll be honest with you. It's
Yes,
been it's
yes,
been that busy. So things are good. This week's been good. Today's been good. I've just come back with my wife. We had gone out social evening, with a meal and
yes.
met up with some people. So that's good. Back home now. The youngest is now going to bed, so we got a bit of free time now. Um, so yeah, all is good. Can't complain. Just have to give God thanks, really.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
How
it's
are
great to
you?
have you. Well, yes, it's I think one of the most important question that was asked of me, we had a members meeting, and the question was asking me, Pastor Errol, when is your holiday? We need to see your holiday dates. So I
Mm,
had to give them some dates right there and then. So I think I need a break. Let's put it that way. And I
definitely.
will be taking a break, as you know, in around September and
Yeah,
time. I'll be hopefully
yeah, yeah.
take 2 weeks off, and then I've got to set some other date. But I'm okay, generally speaking, um, and to God be the glory. Great things He has done, is doing, and will continue to do. So, give God
Mm,
thanks. It's been a lot of church work, obviously, church work,
mm,
drowned
mm,
it in it, but it's
mm.
exciting nonetheless. So I can't
That's
complain.
right.
I'm not complaining about it at all. I
Mm.
did. There was a particular lady. She said, "I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining."
That's a good way to put it. Yes, yes. That's a good way to put
And
it.
I know that Pastor Carol, she's busy with the actual the retreat. Are you going to be going to the worship retreat?
I have to automatically say yes, but pray that I do because I've got so many things going on myself. So, but
Yeah.
she's more than adequate to do what she's doing without
Yes.
me being
Yes.
there in person. But
Yes.
that's how we operate. We can do two separate things, at the same
Yes.
time.
Yes.
But I do want to be there. But yeah, just such a busy diary right now.
Yeah,
Mm,
I actually want to be there as well. I think that it's a great place to be actually, especially as pastors. It's important for
mm,
us to make sure that worship is at the top of the agenda, as it were, as well as
absolutely,
other things, you know. But
absolutely.
would love to be there. So I'm thinking about it hard, and
Mm,
but I wouldn't want to be there if my team is not there. So I got to make
absolutely.
sure that
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
there first of all. But it's great to be with you another Friday. I was just saying as well to those online that Friday is a very challenging time for us because
Mm,
there's so
mm,
many things because we're no
mm,
longer in lockdown and so on.
mm,
So it's very
mm.
challenging. Well, we've been asked a question here by Clive Williams. Clive spent some amazing time in Jamaica, and he's back in the UK and enjoying and still getting Jamaican weather in the UK. Can you believe that?
Wow. It's yes, amazing. And more to come tomorrow. Mm,
Yes,
more
yes, yes. So he was saying that as the prime minister, is it okay how Boris Johnson has been treated, or well, still being treated, I suppose, because he only resigned this week, I understand. In fact, I was actually on the streets, actually going to a shop when I heard the news. I didn't actually hear it directly. I had somebody was
mm,
mentioning, and I was listening. What's your take on that at the moment? Is he? Oh, do you understand how he's being treated? Have you been listening to the news?
hmm. Yeah, yes, I have actually. It's been an interesting one. It's interesting one. For me, there's been some parallels with the way Donald Trump was behaving in his last days. That
Hmm.
reluctance to understand your time is up. Your time is up. And I observe that, and I kind of study that, and I wonder why you don't want to go. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
because and he Boris truly believes, you know, it's his party. The mandate is his. He doesn't. He's not seeing that it's a conservative party, All he's
Okay.
thinking is that
Okay.
I must stay because the people have asked me to do something. When
Mm.
really the government is not based on one person. And
Mm.
unfortunately, his character and also probably the way he's been brought up, he has this self belief in himself beyond the average person. And like Donald Trump, they don't listen. Bit of pride kicks in, arrogance
Mm.
kicks in. They say they're sorry. Are they really sorry? And so, look, any leader um, can say they're in office, but when you don't have people following you, especially your own
Mm.
ministers,
Mm.
you
Mm.
have to stop
Mm.
and reflect and go, is it
Mm.
time to go? And when you got so many of his people that are close to him telling him it's time to go, and he still says no, you have to ask yourself, what do you need to do to make this man
Mm.
listen? So I call it the dark forces. So on that day before he chose to resign, he was there telling everybody he's stopping. He went in front of the committee. You told him he's stopping. That is that. He sacked Michael Gove, who, quite close, let's say, ally, who told him he must go. He said to Michael Gove, "You're sacked. Get out of here." And then all of a sudden in the morning, Boris, with a smiley, jovial face, tells everybody, "Oh, okay, I don't want to go, but I'm going to go." And it makes you wonder, what was that conversation about that made him all of
Mm.
a sudden
Mm.
want
Mm.
to go? I think he had to go. I think he's overstayed his leadership, which is sad, really, because as much as we can pick up on all his negative, lying. He
Mm. Mm.
unfortunately, we've been talking about it on this platform for how many months about
Mm.
his natural just to lie. He just doesn't. It doesn't. It's just he doesn't think twice about lying. And that's what's got him in trouble in the end. One too many things. They asked him about this. I can't remember the man's name. Was it Fincher or someone? Anyway, yes, it was asked about the recruitment of one of the ministers who happened to be messing around with men, groping men, and so on and so on. So they asked Boris Johnson, "Did you know he was that kind of person before you appointed him?" Boris says, "No,
Mm.
no, 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 I didn't know." And then the next day, the press office say, "Well, actually, Boris was informed and he was aware." Here we are again, Boris. You say one thing,
Mm.
you're lying. Why? And so that
Mm.
was it. That
Mm.
was the last straw. So answering this question, is it okay? Um, it's not okay, but I think they
Mm.
had to do that to get him out. He was causing great damage to the party. And when somebody doesn't listen to one,
Mm.
doesn't listen to two, doesn't listen to 10, doesn't listen to 100, you have to raise your game,
Mm.
to get
Mm.
somebody to,
Mm.
So unfortunately, he brought it on upon himself, and he caused a lot of damage along the way as well. He sacked,
Mm.
I don't know, a lot of ministers from the conservative, from their posts. He sacked them. So that means there's a big hole right now in the government of no ministers
Mm.
operating where they need to operate in. That's
Mm.
major damage. I don't know what company could survive,
Mm.
and this is the government, running our country. I don't think people really understand the impact this is causing on things that are not being resolved, dealt with, and so on, all because we're focusing on one man with a big character. So unfortunately, he had to go. The MPs, I believe, collectively are trying to do the greater good. There are going to be the individuals who want to to get something for themselves, but I truly
Mm.
believe there are some elders in there who were thinking about the greater good and had to get him out because he was. And
Mm.
even now, they're worried him being a caretaker will still cause damage because he is
Mm.
a smart cookie, smart man. I have respect for him, but I have some kind of disrespect for him in some ways. You
Mm.
know,
Mm.
because he has done some good things for this country, but it's been spoiled
Mm.
by the lying and the deceit. So that's my personal opinion.
Well, that's a very good. I'm glad you mentioned all of what you've said. I mean, I am not the expert in that
Mm,
field. I do know that obviously, from what I have seen and the little
mm,
bit I've seen, he has lied. It's proven that he has lied. It's not
mm,
like it's an assumption that he has lied. He's actually been
mm,
caught out in that sense. And when you do that, you're going to lose trust. You're going to lose confidence. People are not going to be able to trust you, because when you speak, we don't know whether it's the truth or not. If you
Simple.
can blatantly lie like that, I mean, I was absolutely astonished when in fact, what happened was I was sitting on my bed when I was hearing the news. I'd heard what he had said before, then I heard him changing and apologizing, and I'm thinking, I can't. This is what I was saying to myself on the bed as I was sitting. I said, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I just could not believe it. But it had to happen the way it's happened.
Yes.
If as you rightfully say, if he won't make that shift, then others are going to force him out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what's happened. And I think there are some lessons, though, isn't it? We are on a men's focus. Men are in lots of leadership positions. What would you say is a major lesson that we as men should take from this experience of Boris?
Okay, well, men in particular, black or white, you gotta have some integrity. You gotta have some value. Core values like integrity, honesty that leads, because trust is a big thing. Trust is a big thing. Morals as well. I mean, we say, like, you shouldn't involve people's private life, but it's hard to ignore someone's private life if they're leading a country, a group of people, because you want to be able to relate as well. So in the Boris Johnson situation, I think there's lessons that we want to make sure we avoid. Yes, be honest. Faithful. Let's hope he's faithful and remains faithful to his current wife. Because
Yes.
he's been very bad and unfaithful previously. So it's sad for me, to be honest, for someone to blatantly lie and just cheat on people. It tells me he has disregard for people, and so I'm just interested on how his wife feels right now, and where she's at with that, and I hope their marriage does work. I genuinely do, but when you look at his past, it just, from what you hear anyway, it makes me question the whole character of Boris Johnson, and not to go down that road.
Yes.
You've got to have some moral value. Saying all that, I think Boris has a heart that means well, but he's not strong. He's not strong-willing at all. So that's the
Yes.
lessons I learned. But you know what, Pastor Errol, I think fame is not for everybody. Being
Yes.
popular.
Yes. Well, absolutely.
Some
Absolutely.
people like the limelight. They love it. That's not something I run to do. Because with that, people are watching you night and day. You don't have no privacy. You do something, it's scrutinized. You're not asking nobody for an opinion, but they're giving you one.
But
You know,
that's the same position we are in, though, as pastors, isn't it?
exactly, exactly. No, so this is my
Yeah.
this is my limit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to be the prime minister of the country, that's a lot of pressure. Lot of pressure. But if you're a character who loves the center of attention, you can understand why you
Yes.
go for it.
Yes. Yes.
But so you can only pray, really, because government really, as Christians, as men, we should be supporting the government as best as possible. Mm,
But you spoke about integrity, and I think that is such an important area for us as men and for us as leaders and so on.
mm,
And I listened to Brother Trotman speak about integrity at one of our governance conference,
mm,
and or one of it may have been a training on governance, speaking
mm,
about how we ought to be men and leaders of integrity, because
mm,
when we are in the position of leadership, and also within our own families, I mean, how do you see the word integrity? I mean, I put out three words here: integrity, courage, and influence. It's three particular leadership qualities that we ought to possess and we ought to exhibit with great care. But integrity is
mm,
such a massive, massive responsibility that we as leaders hold, and we as men hold in so on. But for example, we talk about the line of Boris Johnson, and he will go down in record. Some will say as one of the worst prime ministers we've ever had. Just as, maybe Donald Trump, they're saying in America, he was the worst president they've ever had. And yet there were some good things. Some say that Boris Johnson did, with Brexit and things like that. Whereas others may dispute that and so on. But in terms of integrity, just for a moment, and that has a lot to do as well with influence, because when you're a leader, and you're supposed to be honest, and you're not, and you're really doing something different, you are influencing those who are coming up to say more or less, well, this is the way you should do it, or this is the way you could do it, this is the way to do it, and so on. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about integrity, really, and how important integrity is for us as men and for us as leaders, really.
Yeah. Well, integrity for me basically is something that you pursue. Because you can't say to somebody, I've got integrity. It doesn't work that way. It's something
Right.
you've got to pursue.
Yes.
And
People got to see that in
integrity.
you.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah.
And the greatest example I always say is Jesus had the greatest integrity, but yet they crucified him because they accused him of sin, blasphemy, all of these things
Yes,
that he did not do. So that clearly tells me no matter how much integrity you have, not everybody's going to see that. But that shouldn't stop you seeking integrity, because if you look at the example of Jesus, we still talk about him 2,000 years afterwards, the integrity that he carried. And what do we mean by that? The honesty, the moral values, how you deal with people, what you say you're going to do, your responsibility, your accountability, all of that. And you don't talk about it, you do it. You
Right,
do it.
right.
You demonstrate with people. It's so easy to preach and teach, but when you're actually applying that and people see that, then they make up their own minds with integrity. So for me, it's something an individual pursues,
Yes.
and you can't persuade somebody that I've got integrity. It's something that they see,
Yes,
and can call
yes.
upon, But it's for me, if we understand what Christianity is and apply it, then that comes naturally,
Yes,
in
yes.
work, in church, in government, wherever you may be. You will stand up when somebody's being persecuted. You will say no when something is wrong. Sometimes we say somebody's humble when they stay quiet. Not necessarily true. Sometimes being quiet in an argument is the best thing to do, and wait for the right time to say something. But to stay quiet all the time is being passive. You know. So integrity is having a bit of wisdom, knowledge, understanding on when to intervene, and when to speak up, when to defend, when to attack, as well. Because leaders are not to be just purely passive. We need to be assertive, meaning that sometimes we need to go forward as well as backwards.
Yes, yes.
So integrity is one of the core ones, as you say. I have this acronym, and I haven't got it in front of me, so I'm just going to
Yes.
speak it. But being a leader is an acronym I have, is loving endlessly and doing endless roles. For me, it's just loving everyone and doing endless roles. That's what a leader does, right? But then the integrity, as you say, the courage is all part of it. Serving honorably in praise is the leadership. So the SHIP. So leadership is serving honorably in praise. Because as a Christian leader, it's really about putting God first, but
Yes,
demonstrating,
yes.
all of that, what Christ told us to do. So, as I say,
Yes.
integrity is key.
Yes, I mean, you mentioned some really powerful points there, and looking in a dictionary here, it says integrity is about honesty and about uprightness, morality, as you mentioned before, wholeness, unity, and so on. And there's a term you mentioned, which I like this scripture, which says, "Let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay." So if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, but you have not given any justifiable reason for that, you kind of lose integrity. And what I've noticed as leaders is that our integrity is always either going up or it's going down. You know what I mean? It's not so much like it's stable in one position. It's either going up. And as you rightfully say, people watch us. You know, they watch us like an hawk. Let's use that term. And they can say, well, yeah, my pastor or my leader is a man of integrity. And it is a very, very honorable title to hold. I would rather be known as a man of integrity than to be known that I'm a pastor, because you can be a pastor and have no integrity.
Absolutely.
Are you with me? You're not honest. You're not upright. You don't uphold the values of God, because God is the one that sets the standard of integrity, and we're going by His word. And but even saying that, people go, they see what you say, and are you a man or a woman that do what you say? For example, you're married, and you said, "Until death do us part," but then you divorce your wife, and it's not death do us part. You know, are you following the point I'm trying to make? And it's like,
yes.
you know, I walk out on my wife because she burnt the toast, or because she did something I didn't like. Well, where's my integrity in that situation? In the sense that I have said in front of, you know, you've married people, and for example, you've been to weddings, and we read it, and it says something like, "Will you, in the presence of God and these witnesses here present, you know, renounce all other women and hold true to this one in sickness and in health, in for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer." Are you with me? And then in the process of trouble and difficult times, I leave her for a younger model. You know what I mean? And think, so where's my integrity in that situation, Pastor Rob?
Exactly, but there's none, is there? It's to the other woman now, you know. So yeah, and it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
You know, because and why? It's carnal, isn't it? I mean, it's easy for us to talk, but it happens.
Yes,
and you know, we can only pray every day it doesn't happen to us, because it's so easy to happen. You know, it just takes you to have an argument with your wife. You go to church, you know, you're there praying, and then a lady comes, listens to you as a pastor. Next minute, you know, you're in an uncomfortable position, and there's another pastor. You know, it's so easy. So as much as we talk about it, it can happen. We know it happens so easy. But the reason we're talking about it is that it can happen to you and I, Pastor Errol. And so just look out for it, because it's carnal. You know?
But isn't it amazing, though, even in the criminal world, even in the world of darkness, they still value integrity. They still value that you hold and uphold what you say, your word. Because I think that the integrity, really, I've always said this, integrity is your word. You know, do you live by your word, or do you not live by your word? How valuable is your word? Because we make commitment to people. For example, you might borrow some money from me, and you say you're going to pay me back on Sunday. Sunday come, you've got the money, but you don't pay me.
It's amazing.
You've lost integrity. So, and we can say that God is a God of integrity. He's a God who is faithful. He's a God who is honest. He's a God who is true. Why? Because God keeps His word.
Absolutely.
God keeps His word. He's a God who is a God who says He's going to do something. For example, I was listening to Miles Monroe when he talked about the fact that God says, "In the day you eat of this tree, you will surely die."
Yeah.
And God was true to His word. God was honest. He was faithful to His word, because as soon as they sinned against Him, then they were plunge into darkness. And I really wanted to get across really how important integrity is in family, in in the home, in the church as well, in our workplace. Are you with me? And also just in general as well. One of the things is, going back to, I don't want to spend the whole night talking about Boris Johnson, but if you can't trust your leader, you can't trust your wife, you can't trust, who you gonna trust?
You end up trusting yourself, don't you?
And a lot of people said if you have no trust in the relationship, then it's going to fall on. Just to move on then a little bit on the word influence in leadership, because I associate quite a bit with integrity. But I've heard John Maxwell say, and John Maxwell is the leadership guru of the world. He's the number one leadership development guru in the world. I met him personally, actually, an amazing guy. And he says the definition of leadership is influence. Leadership
Absolutely.
is influence. And if you have no influence, you're just not able to lead. What's your take on that?
It's similar. I mean, a leader with no influence is just occupying an office. It's just a leader by title, And like yourself, I follow John Maxwell, and also Mars Monroe. Mars Monroe, for me, but both of them are consistent in what they're saying. To the point now, I struggle sometimes in my vocational work where they can promote people and put people in charge and so on and so on and so on. And a lot of the workplace, or where I am, is really built, it's like a militant structure. So what I'm saying is you have a corporal or a general who's like, yes, sir, you know, because you're a corporal, you must have the last say type of thing. That doesn't cut it for me. And I get why the army do that. You've got to have that kind. But when when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with people, you know, and if you're a leader, you've got to have integrity. You've got to lead by example. You just don't tell me something or waffle on, and what you're saying don't even make sense to me. Give me, influence me so that I want to follow you. Don't just tell me that I'm your boss or you're a higher grade or you're the pastor or you're the bishop. That doesn't cut it with me, unfortunately. And I'm sure there's individuals like me that just by title you want me to follow. I think that's very shallow as a leader. If you keep on reminding people, you're the boss.
I'm the man of the house. I'm the head of the house.
You know what I mean? For me, it's a sign of insecurity. And what you need to do is influence rather than be insecure. And influence, can be done in so many ways. My favorite way is to show me by, leading by your actions.
Example,
you can, or give me an example. Minimum, talk to me and give me an example. But the moment you start throwing your stripes at me, I switch off, and that's where probably I need to show more humility with people. But I'm being honest, because John Maxwell and Mars Monroe say, lead with him, because and we don't have it tonight, but there's a pinnacle, isn't it, that John Maxwell talks about, the different levels of leadership or leaders. You start off with the titles, but if you want to be the greatest leader, you've really got to make an impact in somebody's life. And the greatest leaders have made the impact to millions of people's lives. And that's what makes them great leaders, But just coming with titles and shouting at me because you're the boss, I'll do that and go home. And I'll do my best to show humility. But for me, that's not a true leader. You need to influence me by showing that you care. Empathize with me rather than the sympathy. I mean, I was talking to somebody. I won't say where. I was talking to this person, and I was really down. My dad wasn't well, and thank the Lord, he's really recovered now. But he was really in a bad place. I wanted to speak to this person to say, my dad's not well, and so on and so on. I just wanted them to respond, and how is he? I laugh now. The person was then somehow talked about their dog. After I was telling them my dad's in hospital, critically, and so they started asking me, and this was a leader, starts talking about the dog and how the government are not good with the laws for the dogs and stuff. And I thought, how's that linking to my dad in the hospital? and I just switched off. I just didn't get it. He wasn't influencing me in anything he was going to say after that. I just thought, you're just talking about yourself, and so on and so on. So influence for me as a leader is important, and I like to think that's how I go about my things in my senior pastoral role. It's easy for me to stand on the rostrum and talk or from the altar and preach, but I want to get into the one-to-ones. I want to hear what's really going on. There's some great speakers, dynamic speakers. We're blessed with dynamic speakers who can do that on a Sunday. And don't get me wrong, I'll be up there on a Sunday too, but I really want to be into the one-to-ones, because for me, whether it's church or work, that's where it matters. That's where it matters for me.
No, that's powerful, and I just pulled up the John Maxwell 5
There it
levels
is.
of
Yeah,
leadership.
that's the one. That's the one.
It really is a powerful model, and it talks about level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. And one of the things he says is that everyone starts at level 1. You've got the position,
That's right.
you've got the title, you've got the right, as it were. And you've been appointed as the pastor. You and I have been appointed as a pastor. That's a level 1. We've got the title, we've got the position. But then he says you got to move from level 1 to level 2, which is what you're saying, building the relationship. In other words, people at level 1, people follow you because of the position, but at level 2, they follow you by permission. They, because of the relationship they have with you. People follow you because they want to follow you, and because of the relationship that you have. At number 3, you've got to, as a leader, produce results. Whether you are in the family, whether you are in the church, leadership, he says, is about producing results. If you're not being productive, and people won't follow you. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization, what you're doing for the church. However, leadership at level 4 now is people development. People follow you because of what you've done for them. You've developed them. You have invested in them. And that's one of the things that we do in Wembley a great deal. We reinvest in people. So we are reproducing ourselves. People follow you because of what you have done for them. But the place to be is level 5. It's what we call the pinnacle. People follow you because of who you are and what you represent. They respect you. And if you notice, actually, at level 5, you will see, for example, when a football team wins the league, what do they do to the manager? They take the manager and they throw him up in the air, and they catch him, they throw him back up. This is what the people give you. And I want you to notice what he says here, is that people give you level 1. Sorry, you get level 1, but you have to earn level 5.
That's right.
You have to earn the respect. And this is one of the most powerful leadership models I've ever come across, actually. Really is,
absolutely. That's good.
Powerful one, indeed. But yeah, it's influence is really as, and I do agree with the both of them, John Maxwell as well as Dr. Miles Monroe, that leadership is influence, and if you don't have the ability to influence people, then it's not going to work. I tell you what I discovered when I first started pastoral work. I was appointed to a church called Crickerwood in London, and I discovered who the real pastor was. The real pastor was an elderly lady by the name of, Sister Anita Vassell, because she had the influence. Whatever she said, I noticed everybody moved. When I speak, I was at level 1. But she was already at level 5, but she's not the pastor. I'm the pastor with the level 1. I've got the position, I've got the right, but she has the respect of the people. She's their champion. So what I decided to do is I have to win her on my side.
Absolutely.
That's what I have to do. So I automatically change her name from Sister Anita Vassell to Mother Anita Vassell. I made her a mother of the church. I put her on the leadership team and began to use her as the assistant pastor to work for the better of the church. So that's the way sometimes you got to work, Brother Rob. You know, if I went into war with her, I would have lost.
But you know, some people, what they do, they get threatened by that and they get rid of them, push them out when they're quite influential. You know, so why are you getting rid of them? Because what you're then doing is creating a big, gap, unnecessarily, because you're feeling either insecure or just not sure how to manage that person. So absolutely, I think you did the right thing. Really, if you want to be a leader, you got to have people who can say no to you, who can challenge you, and sharpen up your influential skills. If you just want yes people, I don't know what that's about, but that's for me. And I think another two things for me. I like what John Maxwell says about everything rises and falls on leadership. So if you're a poor leader, then you're only going to have poor performances. So you're going to have to raise your game. But me as a leader, Pastor Errol, I have no qualms if there's somebody who's performing better than me. Especially if it's the younger ones. I really don't feel threatened, because my mind is about exactly that. I want to raise up leaders who can do much more than what I can do.
Exactly.
And when that time is right, I will step back and just watch it grow. But again, as some leaders, we get threatened. We want to stay there forever. And a bit like Donald Trump and Boris again, I guess. They think that it's all about them, and it's always about the next generation or the current.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
With leader, you got to influence, and when you influence, you should see growth. And when you see growth, don't stunt it. Let it grow. In control and stuff like that. But I keep on using the word insecurity tonight, and I think as leaders, we've got to be secure. We've got to be confident about ourselves first. I think that's really what's coming to me in the spirit. Really, we've got to be. You got to know who we are.
Yeah. In fact, actually, my teacher and leader, Bishop T.F. Poorman, who passed away a few years back, or a few months back, if you like. One thing he used to say to us, because when I was being trained by him, you had Bishop Mike Wilson, you had Delaney Brown, you had Horace, you had a multitude of us, and he always said to us, "I'm not afraid of none of you." He used to tell us, he used to tell us, "I'm not afraid of none of you," because he was never insecure, he was never threatened by us, but he invested heavily in all of us to where we are at today. It's just truly been amazing. But it's so easy for leaders to want to hold the rein and not let it go and not give it up, not invest in others, not train talent that's coming through. And with Mother Vassal, she's still with me today. She was with me in Cricklewood. She went with me when we merged with Tubbs Road, and then Tubbs Road merged with Wembley, and she's still with me today. She's now in her 80s, and still have the influence. And and there's so many leaders around me that has so much influence on the same church, and you have to be able to work with it. And one of the things you said earlier as well is the fact that we can't really just look at the yes people. It's great to have yes people at some times, but there are people who challenge you. Once one of my leaders phoned me and said, "Brother Errol, when we was at that meeting, did you think anyone was going to vote with you?" everybody voted against my idea. And sometimes people get the idea that pastor is going to be offended. No, I wouldn't. Why should I get offended when sometimes most of the time the ideas that I bring up, sometimes people come up with better ideas, and it's for the better of the church.
It's counsel.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, so true.
And as you said, there's a scripture that said, "In the multitude of counselors,
yes,
there's." So, what do you say to us men who we don't want to share the leadership with our wives? We want it to be known by our wives that we are the head of the home, we are in charge, and you should listen to me. And the poor wife doesn't get a say in matter. What would you say to us men in that position?
Be careful, because you might find that you may no longer have a wife, or you're going to just struggle in that relationship. You know, because it's not a godly principle. You
Mm,
know,
mm,
and no matter what law we want to quote in courts and everything else,
mm,
God instituted law, for the goodness of man, and
mm,
we
mm.
misinterpret it, we abuse it, and so on and so on. But if you follow the principles, the whole idea is it's supposed to make your relationship blossom,
Right,
but
right.
what's happening with the Boris Johnsons and the Donald Trumps and other individuals, they get ahead of themselves. They think because they can articulate and sound good, look good, and got money and status, they can just walk over people. But
Mm,
like most humans, nothing lasts forever. It's all after a period of time, things then take a turn. So it's all great having being dictator in your home or in your workplace or at the church, but it doesn't last forever. And God has a way of breaking people when they get to that level of pride, because at that stage they just don't know when to stop. So yeah, what I'd say to anyone who's behaving like that is be careful, because you're going to come to the end of your relationship. Before you know it, you might think you're invincible right now, but no one is invincible. Not in this body that we've got. You'll be hit with relationship, you'll be hit with health, you'll be hit, if you're not hit with that, you'll be hit with your wealth, poverty. So, just got to just be humble, give God thanks for what we
mm,
got, and just stay humble, and treat people as you want to be treated.
mm. Well,
Yeah.
I like the idea of what you say. If you treat your wife that way, you probably may not end up having a wife any longer, because
Mm, mm,
treating women in that way is not wisdom. It's almost as if what we're saying is that our brains are better than hers, and the two heads, are
mm,
not that good. I was in Africa actually, and I was it was so funny. A question was asked of me, and I said two heads are better than one. And
mm,
there was a chief, African chief, that was there, and he says, "Let me just give a correction to Brother Williams." He says, "Two good heads are better than one." I never,
mm.
I've
Yeah.
never forgotten that. And
Wow.
when you have,
Mm,
the two good heads in the family, husband and wife, I think sometimes the failure is that we don't; those two heads are not really working together as one. Does that make
mm.
sense? It's like as if one
Yes.
is sometimes even the women, usurp that position, or the men usurp that position. And so what you
Mm,
have is you got two vision, which is what we call division, because they're
mm,
not working together as one. The two have not become one. The two are still
mm,
separated in that sense.
mm,
And I guess the warning to men is, take advantage of working together, being
mm.
together as one in just moving forward. And you'll be amazed how much you'll be able to achieve if we work together as one.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. And again, we can't avoid what happens in reality. There's a three-letter word, sex, that men
Yes,
in
yeah.
particular have a stereotype for, that they can't stay faithful. And there's some cultures where it's okay to have more than one wife. I don't know of many cultures where it's okay for a wife to have many husbands, right? But there's a few cultures that it's okay for a man to have many wives. Often sex, after that children. After that it's because I'm a man, and and they treat them as a commodity. But again, we've got to be careful, because God's
Mm,
intention was for Adam and Eve, not for Adam, Eve, and Mary, or
mm, mm,
for Adam and Mark and Eve, kind of thing. He made it between one man, one woman, as a
mm.
relationship. And when we talk about Adam and
We,
Steve, and that's a
yes,
dilemma now
yes,
that the church is going to face. I mean, the Baptist church
yes,
have just
absolutely.
gone through that. Was it last week, where they've now
Okay,
agreed to marry same couple, sex?
okay, okay.
That's coming to many churches, and it's going to divide
Right,
a lot of
right.
churches.
Yes, yes.
Because I'll stand up and say I do not encourage same-sex marriages, but it doesn't mean I hate somebody of the same sex. No,
Mm,
don't get me
mm,
wrong, but
mm,
I wouldn't encourage somebody to get married as of the same sex, because I just don't believe in what I've read in the Bible, that that's something God you know,
Mm, mm,
endorses. So I can't say, but it doesn't mean I hate the individuals, because
mm,
I know
mm.
of people who are homosexual and stuff, and I speak to them, treat them like any other, because they're
Mm,
just another
mm.
human being. They just have different values,
Well,
but that's
I mean,
coming our way.
yeah, I mean,
Mm.
I have actually done some work when I was a youth leader in Wembley many years ago. I did some work with the leader of that I was working with was gay, and you would be amazed at how loving some of those gay men are. It's really truly amazing when you get to know them and so on and so forth. It's not like they you know whatever. But the point is, obviously, we don't agree with the lifestyle, but they're still human beings.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They're still people that we
Absolutely.
have to love and
Mm.
respect. And I think sometimes the way we treat the homosexuals, we don't treat people who have pride
Mm.
in their heart the same way. Are you with me?
Mm.
And there's a
Absolutely.
kind of a prejudice, if you like, homophobic
Mm.
prejudice and so on. But I think that you mentioned about that three-letter word, sex. We definitely need to talk about that at some point in this show.
Mm.
Just maybe we need to talk about sex, men and sex and all of that kind of stuff,
Mm.
and so on. So that's something that is to come, and I can't wait for that actually, because that's a subject
Mm.
matter that really affects a lot of couples and so on. But in terms
Mm.
of, I mean, tonight we've really been focusing around, integrity and influence, and
Mm.
I call it the ICI. And you wouldn't believe who just turned up as well. We found our lost, the prodigal
Oh, the
son,
lost sheep. Yes.
our lost. We found we found the lost sheep. Is it,
Hey.
Hey,
brother Earl? How you doing, sir?
yeah, I'm all right. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
I'm all right.
Awesome.
So,
We were just
literally
saying
just off the
we found the
plane.
lost sheep. We was just saying we found the lost sheep.
Mm.
Very good, very good.
So
So
Awesome.
tell
yeah,
us where
good
you
evening,
is it
Rob.
Switzerland? Was it
Hi.
Switzerland? Was it Switzerland?
Yeah, I was in Switzerland.
Switzerland. Yeah.
Yes, I was working with a company called Swarovski, who make
Okay.
man crystals, and I was working with them on change because they're going through a
Right.
lot of changes right now. So that's one of the things that we advise people about, how to cope with change and how to deal with it.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
change is the one constant you can definitely predict is going to happen.
Well, you know
Absolutely.
what?
And
I tell you what, actually, I tell you what, because I do, what we're talking about leadership and so on, and one of the things I had on my list as well was about handling change,
yes,
unpredictable and
yes,
constant changes that's taking place
yes.
every
Mm.
day in government, in public opinion, human beings, economics, and so on. Maybe just share a few thoughts with us. I think that would be useful for us
Wow.
to pick up on, because as we're
Oh,
talking about
okay.
leadership, and as leaders, as you mentioned, that's one constant, and I have the word constant there as well. That's one constant
Yes,
that you're going to have,
yes,
is that they're going to be changed. As you know, there's change in government right now going on,
yes.
public opinions, human beings, technology,
Mm.
even products and services,
Yeah.
etc., etc. Go ahead, share with us.
There's one thing
Mm.
I would love to share, and I always do this same thing whenever I talk about change. Um, Literally, when I was over in Switzerland, every single day I try and search for a TV station which has got some English speaking um, commentary on it. So I ended up watching CNN. I ended up watching a lot of BBC World Service. But the one thing I'll say about change is this: we're hearing about Boris Johnson and all of that, but whenever there is a change in any company, whenever there is a change in anybody's life, whenever the circumstances are going to change, what you'll often find is that there's three types of people that will be around. First of all, you'll get the thrivers. And a thriver, they love change, they embrace change, they're up for it, they will innovate, they will gravitate towards change, they will do things that enhance change, and they're really good people to have around. But they're only about 15% of your organization, maybe 15% of your family. Only a few people are going to be change agents. End of the scale, you have another group of people, I call them the nosedivers. So on the one hand, you have the thrivers, but on the other end, you have the nosedivers. These people do not like change. They don't accept change. They are big change resistors. When change happens or is happening, they will often say they don't know what they're doing. People who are in leadership don't know what they're doing. Listen, I've been around for 5 years. These people have only been here 5 minutes. Follow me. Don't listen to what they say because I know better. They're just talking codswallop. So watch out for the resistors of change. They're called the nose divers. But the interesting thing is they only make up about 15% of your organization as well. So you have 15% thrivers, 15% nose divers. That means there's a massive 70% of people in the middle who, when it comes to change, they are survivors. They don't know which way to go. They listen to what people are saying and then they make their minds up depending on what people are saying. And if there's more people saying negative things about change, then they won't go for it. If there are more things which are being said, which is positive toward change, then they will go for it. And this group of people is what we call the survivors. And if you are in any kind of leadership role, if you're a family man leading your family, or if you're a leader leading a team, who should you work on? The thrivers, the survivors, or the nosedivers? Well, the answer is work on the survivors, the 70%. Because if you work on those and you manage to convince a lot of them to move towards the thriving part of the business or the thriving part of the family or the thriving part of the change which you want to initiate, then you'll find that so many people will make the change happen because they'll have momentum, you'll get movement, you'll get motion. So don't worry about the nosedivers. They will literally, self-select themselves out. And the thrivers, give them opportunity. Give them opportunity to lead some of the change. Give them opportunity to be a pilot for you and test what the change should be and to give it a go and then seek feedback from them. So it's just a little bit of change management there. But, whenever you've got a big project, anything you really want to change, find out who your thrivers are. Find out who your nosedivers are. Find out who your survivors are. Give the thrivers opportunity to influence. And let them influence the survivors, because that's what you're going to need to get momentum and to see the change really grab hold and take place. So that would be my few words to you if you're looking at change management, because they are the principles of what you're going to need to make change happen within an organization or a family. All right.
No, that's powerful. I'll never forget actually that training session that you did for our Region 1 pastors many years ago. If you remember the pulling of the rope.
Yes. That's
and
right.
You spoke about the nose divers, the survivors, and the thrivers, because the nose divers they're just not with it, is it? They're not with the program whatsoever.
That's right. I remember you are so right. When we did that exercise, we made it physically work literally with that group. I think there were about 30, 40 people, but literally we split them up into three. So we had a few people on one end of the rope, that was the thrivers, a few people on the other end of the rope, that was the nosedivers, and the majority of people were in the middle. And we told the nosedivers to pull this way, and we told the thrivers to pull that way, and they just literally cancel each other out. The rope wasn't moving anywhere. They just cancel each other out because the survivors just hold the rope steady in the middle. Don't make that rope move. And literally, it doesn't take any effort. The survivors just talk to each other. Did you see what was on television last night? No, they just have a pleasant conversation. But as soon as you invite the survivors to make a move towards one end or the other, the whole rope moves. And it's no longer a competition. You just see the whole momentum takes the organization to a special place. So yes, you're right, Errol. I forgot that we did that, but now you reminded
and
me.
I think
that was a wonderful
we
exercise.
also have the video of it. I was trying to look for it just for a moment ago, and I would have shown it, but I would have to, But I don't know, Brother Rob. Have you ever heard that principle? Nose divers, survivors, thrivers.
Yeah, only through Earl. Yes. I mean, it's a great analogy, really, to really kind of be aware of those who respond to change, because not everybody responds to change pretty well. Yeah, so it's a good way. It's a good strategy to kind of influence, people to move into the right direction. Good strategy.
Yeah. There's
Give
a
the
there's a
percentage
lovely
again.
there's a
Give the
lov-
percentage again, Earl. You mentioned
Well,
70%
all right.
of
I'm
the
going to be a bit more
thrivers.
specific this time. I'm
Yeah.
going to be a bit more specific because I call them thriver survivors, nosedivers. Generally speaking, 15% thrivers, 15% nosedivers,
Okay.
and 70% in the middle, which are your survivors. However, if you want to get more specific, there's a guy by the name of Everett Rogers, and he has something called the diffusion of innovation. And it's when people are going to bring in technology, particularly when they're going to bring in technology, there's a group of people, he calls them the innovators. They're on the sharp end of the thrivers. In other words, you know, when a brand new game is going to come out, some people queue around the block all night so that they're
Yes.
first to buy that piece of
Yes.
software the following
Yes.
day.
Yes.
These are ultra thrivers, and he calls them the innovators. And then you get this group of people. They're called the early. No, they're not the early majority. I think he calls them the early majority. And this early majority, they're close. So when you add up the early majority and the innovators, they make up about 15%. So that's where that came from. Then you have the late majority, they make up about 70%. And then right at the end, the people I call nosedivers, Everett Rogers, he calls them the laggards. The laggards. It's a horrible word, the laggards. And it comes from this group of people in Nottingham who used to resist change. So when they were planning to bring innovation and technology into the stocking industry to make stockings, these laggards, they would go around Nottinghamshire and they would smash the machines. So they would prevent change happening. They would smash the machines. Anyway, the guy who invented the police force, Robert Peel, he bought these laggards from Nottingham, brought them to London, and he hung them.
Okay.
They were hung for their disobedience, their resistance to change. So, you know, it was a tough old thing, you know, because they were resistors of change and they're very famous, you know, and you get these people mashing up machines. And even though they don't smash machines now, they do behaviors which are very laggard in principle, very laggard. And you know what? We have them in church. We have them in our families. We have them in our organizations. We have them in our communities. So it's good to track what's happened in history and to be able to see, well, we don't have laggards nowadays. Yes, we do. You try and bring in a change in your church. You try and bring in a change. You try and say, you know what? We're going to go to Zoom 3 times a week, and you find out how many people will support that. I don't think so. You want people to go back to the way things used to be. So it all has relevance. It all has relevance. And it you know, whenever change is asked for, you will find resistance. Change is emotional.
Yes.
Change is emotional. And you don't get motion. In other words, you don't get movement without first taking people on an emotional journey where they buy into what it is you're trying to ask them to do. So this is a big subject. And right now, with the country in the state that it's in, we need change.
Yeah.
But some people are going to say, no, let's not get rid of Boris. Let's stay with this horrible person because he's made all the right calls. He's made all the right calls on the big issues. That's one of the things you're going to hear people say. Oh, we don't want Keir Starmer. He's too boring. Oh, we don't want somebody like, who was the other guy, the Labour guy? We don't want, what's his name? Corbyn. We don't want Corbyn because he's too ultra right. He's too ultra right. You see, what they're really saying is we don't want change. We just want to have the evil that we're already used to, the people that we're already used to, the systems, the processes that we're already used to. You know, so change is necessary, but a lot of people will resist it. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
any thought you wanted to add to that, Brother Rob? Any thoughts on that?
Well, as a pastor in Nottingham, I just hope I don't have any in Lighthouse Fellowship, any of those laggards. you know, yeah, I'm hoping I don't. But
there'll be about 15% there, Rob.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And at the same time, I ask myself, am I somebody who embraces change? And the honest answer is
Yeah.
not all the time. Not all the time. It
Yeah.
depends
Yeah.
who's bringing it in and why they're bringing
Yes.
it in.
Mm.
So it's great that we can call people laggards, but sometimes we have to resist if it's not a good idea. I'll be honest with you. And we can't embrace everything that's changing. So it's a bit of wisdom, I
Yeah.
guess. But I do get the gist of what's been said and who said it and so on. Because as pastors, you like to think you're doing it for the right reasons. Generally, and you have some people who are just contentious, with that spirit
Yes.
of laggards. But then you have some leaders who are trying to make changes with the wrong motive, and so
Yeah.
therefore you may have to resist that change. So it's one of those really. But I do get the gist. So I just pray that I don't get labelled as a laggard, and I don't have to deal with many of them either.
You
But
know
it's
what,
interesting
Rob?
though. It's interesting though, Brother Rob. I think what you were saying is that, and I think this is an important point, is that the survivors, you said, is 70%. So if you have 100 people, you do have those thrivers, those who are the ones that queue up at Apple for 2 days or 3 days because they want to be ahead of the game. And then you've got those nosedivers who they want to see what the survivors do before they make a move. But I think the point that I mean, I was just saying we need to concentrate on the survivors. 70% of people could be in that position. Because sometimes as leaders, you're trying to bring in a change, and I have found this to be true. You're trying to bring in a change. You see the vision, but others don't see, and you got to find a way to sell it. You know what I mean? And I think, as Rob is also saying as well, people could bring a change in, but we just don't buy. A classic example, actually, Brother Errol. One of the reasons why we brought you into Region 1 to do the change is because our leader wanted to make some merges.
Right.
And a lot of the pastors were dead set against it. You with me? So what our bishop was trying to do is to say, look, let's look at this thing, and there was great opposition because there were pastors on that weekend that was in tears over. One pastor was in tears over it. So that was the idea behind your training, and I must say it was an amazing training that you did, but at the back of people's mind, the leader's trying to so when you're there talking about thrivers and survivors and nosedivers inside that same room,
the same principles were there. But hear this is a really good thing. Play with me. Everybody do this. Do this. That's great. Now do this. That's very good. Very good. Great. Now do this. That's brilliant. Now do this. Now put your fist on your chin. Put your fist on your chin.
Chin.
Right.
That's
now
like
look, me and Errol. Errol, go back to what you were just doing. You see, Errol put his fist where I put my fist.
Yeah.
You followed me. Rob, you put yours on the chin. And why this is important is because if I am the leader and I say something, people might listen to what I say, but more people are going to follow what I do.
Right.
So if I'm the pastor and I'm the person in charge of making the regions come together, and I'm supposed to be initiating change, and I say, everybody, change is the right thing to do. Put your hand on your chin. Now, you followed what I said, Rob, but most people will follow what I do.
Which is what I did.
No wonder Errol goes like this. Errol went like this because
He wasn't listening. He wasn't listening.
No. And you know what? It happens. It happens in all of our churches. It happens in all of our organizations.
Log off, man.
Yeah, they do, and they do what they are seeing.
Yeah.
Because seeing is believing. Actions speak louder than words. People will believe what you do. Now, you imagine you got a leader who's saying, change is great. But you know what? This is my chin today. That's not good. You want them to be congruent. You want them to do the right thing. And you were, thank goodness, Rob, you were listening very carefully, and you made
All
the
the
right
time,
decision.
all the time, all the time.
So I don't know what that says about Pastor Errol.
I don't think I'll defend myself today. I think that I will accept. I will accept. I think that was a very powerful point, because the funny thing
Yeah.
about it is when I put I was debating, is that my chin?
There you go. You're thinking about it, yeah. He did say chin, right? He did say chin. He did say chin.
Yeah.
And then you changed, yeah.
I think
But,
I
a
will.
lot
I
of
think I
people-
will. I think I'll do that one day in church. You know, just for the fun of it. But no, that was a powerful point. But just come back again to this idea, because I think this is really a powerful lesson when we talk about change, because you will always it really is an interesting model, actually, and as you rightfully say, that you are going to get people in the middle who are saying, well, I want to see what happens first. I want to
Yeah,
see what happened
yeah.
to the thrivers, and the nosedivers are saying,
Yeah.
I want to see what happened to the survivors,
Yeah.
and so on. So it really is an interesting model, because as we rightfully say, there is a lot of change going on around us in government right now.
All of those things.
And
yes,
as leaders,
yes.
we have to be able to be flexible and adjustable.
Yeah.
And how do we deal with it? How do we cope with it? Because it's not anything that stops, Brother Rob. It's constant. It's
Constant.
ongoing all
Yeah.
the time. There's changing in our family. Our children are growing. You know what I mean? You know, our wives are growing and changing. We are growing and changing in many ways, and so on. So we just have to be able. But what is the number one skill, though, would you say, each of you, maybe just a minute each, is to be able to handle change? What's the number one
Yeah.
skill? Let me take you first. What's the number one skill that we need? Just one.
For me, the number one skill is to be open to having your views changed. We call it paradigm shifting.
Right,
Be
right.
open to thinking differently. Be open to seeing things that could change for the better. Let me give you an example. I'm going to try and be real quick. My name is Christopher Columbus, and I believe that we can sail west and we can get to the country called India. Now, usually when we go to India, we go around the Cape of Africa, we go around the Cape Horn, and we come out the other end and we go up to India. But I believe that we can go left, we can go west, and we can go to all the way around, and we're going to still make India. Now, who's on the journey with me? Please put your hand up if you're on the journey with me. We've never done it before, and many people believe that if I sail too far, we're going to fall off the edge of the earth, because you'll only see sea out there. Now, the thing is, many people, when this happened for real, Columbus wanted a crew, they wouldn't go with him, because they were thinking, no, the earth is flat, and if we go too far, we're going to fall off the edge of the earth, and therefore I'm not going to make that journey. But Columbus did take some people, and they did go west, but instead of going to India in the east, they ended up in an island in the west, which they call the West Indies. But notice this, when they came back to Spain and they said, hey, we went to the West Indies, we found bananas, we found gold, we found some really lovely people, we found papaya and pineapple and all them things there. Who wants to come on the journey with us this second time? Oh, everybody wants to come now. Why do they want to come? Because they've got the experience. Their minds are now open. They've known that somebody has been there before and done it. But it's better if you have an open mind toward change, because you will be one of those thrivers. You'll be innovative. You'll be one of those to be the first to experience it. And that is such a powerful thing. So be open-minded. Be open-minded towards, there's a potential that something that is different could be better than what you're doing now. That for me is one of the biggest things that you
That's a
could
powerful
ever take on
point. That's
board.
a powerful point. Brother Rob, and then we have to close out here.
Yeah, it's similar really. It's about being flexible. Now he's mentioned being open-minded, because that would be my response. Be flexible, because you might have to change your mind. And as you said that, Brother Earl, and me being very quick, there's people flying to the moon, trying to set up to live out there permanently in other places.
Yeah.
And they can be asking me who wants to come, da, da, da. I'm not going to go. I'm not a thriver in that particular. I'm going to wait for hundreds and thousands of people to fly.
The survivors. You're going to wait for the survivors.
That's right. I'm a survivor on Earth. You know what I mean? Until I believe there's a new heaven, new Earth, then maybe I might look into that.
Yes.
But some people are going to run out there to go onto the moon. But right now I'm not a nosediver. I'm just a survivor. I'm going to be watching and weighing up the options, and then I may change my mind, but then I may not.
It's an interesting thing. I love where you've gone with that, Rob. There was a shoe salesman, and this shoe salesman, he decided to open up a new market, and the new market was in the Far East. And what they noticed was that there was a big market over there. So the shoe salesman sent 2 people over there to sell shoes. The first guy went over there and says, gosh, we'll never sell shoes over here because they don't wear shoes. This is a waste of time. They don't wear shoes. The second salesman who went over, and when he phoned back, he said, wow, there's a tremendous opportunity over here. They don't wear shoes. Now, do you hear the difference? It's rather like when Joshua and Caleb went into the promised land and they saw opportunity where everybody else who was one of the spies, they saw a threat. Now, you say you're a survivor, Rob, but it's those who are hungry, those who are looking for innovation, those who want to do the conversions really early, those who want to take on board some of the responsibilities, those who want to open doors. You got to try and develop that thriving mentality because it gets you out there early. You don't wait for people to tell you exactly what to do. Sometimes you have to develop as a leader that thriving mentality and get out there before everybody else. Try something different. Try something new. Because we get used to doing the same old. And people come along and they develop things and they take our people or they take our audience away from us, and we wonder, well, who do we influence now? So I think it's thriving.
That's a very powerful point. We need to end on this. There are some things I have to do, but I think that's a very powerful point, there, Brother Errol, because even as pastors, we've got to look at our churches and say, can we? If we stay the same, what's going to happen? And do we need to have some change? Because if we continue this way, what's going to happen? And even with the pandemic situation we're coming out of, if you like, we've often use the term, we can't continue as we were. A lot of our conventions around the world at the moment, Brother Rob, people are not attending them. It's only maybe right now in our churches, only 50% of people are coming out. That's what I'm saying. So unless we get into this change, I love the point, that you made there about the idea of opening our minds and looking at things differently, listening more, trying to grasp and say, well, you know what, can we do church differently? Is there a possibility of doing it differently? And so on, because a lot of us can't handle change. We just can't take it.
That's right.
We just love it the way it was before because it's comfortable. It's easier. It's easy to do. But isn't it amazing? I was trying for years to get a lot of our pastors to come online and put their services online. And I just couldn't do it. And COVID.
And now everybody's on there.
And now when you look now, when I look at the services now, Brother Rob, I look at the services that are taking place around the regions. They're really beautiful services, professionally produced, and to God be the glory. Brothers, I'm gonna have to stop here. I got some stuff I got to do, but I'm so glad that you guys turned up, because if you guys didn't turn up, I would have been here on my own. But thank you very much. But your last comments, Brother Errol and Brother Rob, your final comment, just a 60-second comment. Over to you.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for receiving me, even at this late hour, 10 o'clock. I hope all the listeners out there gain benefit from this. But I just want to reinforce what I just said. Change is a constant. It's the only thing you can confidently predict is going to happen. So plan for it. In a few weeks, we're going to have a new leader of a country. of our country. It's going to be somebody different. It won't be the same. Plan for it. What do you want to see? Be proactive. Think about, well, what would you like to see? How would you make that happen? So, embrace this, think about it, talk about it, establish a position for yourself, because don't if you don't do something about it, there's plenty of other people out there will do it for you.
Absolutely.
And then you get fed with somebody else's idea of what the change should look like. I don't want to be in that position personally. I want to be proactive, not reactive. I'm giving myself a choice. I'm going to change.
Over to you, Brother Rob. Thank you, Brother.
Yeah, no, I like that. As already been said, change is constant. Everything we do changes around us. So, expect change. What I'd say, use wisdom in that. Don't become a nosediver or a laggard. But by character, there will be times when you have to resist something, which is a change. But there will be times when you need to be the innovator. So use wisdom on what we're looking to change, because just because something is new isn't a justified reason to change. So we've got to really, seek God's kind of, vision. What is He saying as counsel, not just as an individual, but as a counsel, and then use the thrivers, to really, promote that, work with the survivors, and then hopefully the nosedivers will become survivors and thrivers in due course. But expect resistance and change. God bless you. God bless you.
Pastor Carol says change is necessary, and wasn't, as she said, not a good idea from whose perspective. I'm not sure I picked up the point there. That's what we need to be careful of. So I'm not sure what the point was on that, so I think I left it too late. And Brother Winston said, good evening all, good to be here. The three type of people can be related to the message of the church: some hot, some cold, and some lukewarm. Revelation 3 and verse 16. So that's so true.
It's very good.
Are we hot, cold, or lukewarm? And one of the things that the Lord
what He says about the lukewarm as well.
Yes, I'll spew you out.
Spit about it.
Yes, he said you either be hot or cold. So very powerful. Gentlemen,
nice
thank
one,
you
Winston.
so much for tonight. Really, I'm so glad that we pulled it off. And I'm not so sure what will happen next week, but we will see how it goes. And wish you guys all the best. Welcome back, and I hope you're looking after that foot of yours as well, Brother Errol.
Oh, yes.
The boot will come off very shortly, in the 19th of July. The boot comes off, and then I start my physiotherapy. Yes.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Well, thanks again, and regards to the family of both of you, and see you guys around soon.
Bless you.
God bless you.
God
bless you.
Bless you.
Thanks, Pastor.
You're
Cheers,
welcome.
Rob. Take care.
Bless
Bye-bye,
you.
Erwin.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Errol. Good night, everybody.
Wow, what can I say? God is truly amazing tonight, and I want to say thank you all very much for staying with us tonight. Really was amazing. Certain things that were shared tonight, probably not able to go back over all of them, but God is so good. And leadership was our focus tonight, leadership among men, and how we ought to lead with integrity, with courage, and also with influence. And the Brother Errol mentioned about change and how important that is. Change, as Pastor Carol Clark says, is necessary, and change is a constant. We can't get away from change whatsoever. So I want to say thank you all for listening. Don't forget, we do have some notices just for you before you go. Don't forget, as I said before, we are got a lot of things going on, actually, and one of those things that's going on is our mission. That's in November, and mission is still our commission. So if you want more information on that, please go to the corporate website for that. Don't forget, worship conference or worship retreat is taking place in August. That's just next month. So you can book your place on our corporate website. So go there and reserve your space. Spaces are running out as well, so make a decision very quickly. And if any pastors are here, we want you to promote it in the church, especially among your worship leaders. Don't forget, as I said before, great things happening in Small Heath. That's the church that Pastor Rob and Pastor Carol used to attend. I mean, the children are on fire. The youth are on fire. Everybody seems to be on fire in Small Heath. And as I said before, if I was to live in Birmingham, I probably would be considering going to Small Heath Church. It's so exciting up there. Please don't forget that we do have our 24-hour prayer watch, which is taking place next week. Friday to Saturday is 24 hours. So put aside an hour, half an hour just to join us online as we join together to pray. Region 4 is doing the Illuminate this Sunday, and the focus will be around Region 4. So they'll be exhibiting, if you like, or showing some of the things that are happening in Region 4. Region 4 is really one of our most exciting regions, by the way. Such great things are taking place in churches there. And I'm looking forward actually to, finding out what's going on and learning from Region 4, because they're really dynamic, amazing, absolutely on fire for the Lord. So, congratulations to all the teams and the area bishops that are working so well. In fact, most of our membership is in Birmingham. A large majority of our membership is in Birmingham. Most of our bishops as well are from the Birmingham area, most of our ministers as well. So to God be the glory. Great things He has done in the Birmingham area. So that's me for now. But let me end there, and thank you very much for joining me. I will be back on Monday, hopefully with Let It Go and Grow, and talking about healing from three perspective: spiritual healing, healing of the soul, and then healing of the body. And we need to really try to grasp healing from spirit, soul, and body perspective, and in the order that I've mentioned it. Oftentimes we just want to go to the physical healing and that's it, but we forget about spiritual, we forget about the soul, and then we go straight to the body. So that's the perspective in which I'm addressing it from. So I want to say thanks again to Pastor Rob, the amazing and incredible Errol Lynch, just come all the way from Switzerland. In fact, I called him while we were on air, so and he had just stepped into the house. I said, "Now you're not coming online," and look how explosive it was as well. And he came on and shared with us, and thanks to everyone for your comments, your contribution as well. We do appreciate you very much. Love you guys lots, and thank you so much for joining us tonight, and wish you all the best for the weekend. And I hope that you will enjoy this amazing weather that we're having here in the United Kingdom. If you're joining us from another part of the world, may you be blessed as well. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May He lift up His countenance upon each and every one of you and grant each and every one of you peace in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So once again, thank you and have a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.